publicly honor a great friend and a good friend of mine, Mr. Mark Aller. It's a bittersweet day, I think, for those of us here at the Housing Authority. It's sweet for Doug. And I think it goes without saying that it's sweet for everyone in this room because we all sincerely wish you the best and great happiness in your next endeavors. It is bitter, however, because it's going to be hard to see you walk out the door. And it's going to be hard personally for me to see Doug walk out the door because he has been a friend and a compadre and someone I could always talk to and a mentor for me the entire time I've been here at the Housing Authority. And to give you an example, it started at a very early point in our careers. Doug started at the Housing Authority a couple of years before I did, although obviously he's quite a bit older. Those compliments. It's true. So he was a couple of years here before I was, and I'm 3 weeks into the job, I think, and don't really know anyone, and I have a presentation I need to give to the board, our Board of Commissioners, and I don't remember what it was about, but I was obviously a little nervous and not sure because I'd never met the board, let alone presented anything to them. And Doug and I were in this room and waiting for the board to arrive and for the meeting to start. And Doug must have been there for a presentation also, but he's seated and relaxed and chill. And I'm pacing because I'm obviously anxious. And Doug looks up to me and calmly and coolly says, "Are you nervous?" And I'm thinking, oh, good. Here's a senior person wanting to give me some advice, pat me on the back, tell me what to expect. So I let my guard down a little and I go, yeah, I am actually. And he goes, you should. Well, you should be. That was the only thing he said to me that entire meeting. 3 weeks into the job, I'm like, what a weirdo. Who says that? And so that was when I knew that, Doug would be an unconventional mentor for me. And eventually, of course, I got to know Doug, and I figured out he was just being funny. And that's that. He was razzing me. And what everyone knows who has ever worked with Doug knows that he has a really good sense of humor. He is legitimately a very funny man, although his sense of humor is very dry. And you don't often know it's funny immediately. You have to sort of process it.
Yes.
But besides being very funny, Doug actually has some amazing skills that results in him being able to plan and execute real work that affect real people. And if you saw the newsletters we've put out the last week that have highlighted some of Doug's work, you saw a quote from me, and I want to say it again because it's the truth. Because over the last quarter century of work at the Housing Authority, many, if not most, of the major initiatives that we have done at the Housing Authority, Doug has been a driving force behind them. And I can't possibly remember them all, but I'm going to try to list a few just so you have an idea of the scope of the level of work he's done. The Moving to Work program, Doug wrote the original application. Now, those of you at the Housing Authority know that's a really big deal to us, but we would not be a Moving to Work agency if it weren't for Doug.
Larry made me do it.
Well, Larry made me do it. That's true. But Doug actually did it. Because if Larry had to do it, it wouldn't have gotten done.
That's true, too. I would have found somebody to do it.
But the Family Resource Center at Arnold Heights, setting that up in those programs, which then led to the Community Learning Center at Arnold School, our Family Self-Sufficiency Program, which does amazing work and touches so many families' lives. Doug has set up and run all these years. Our lease purchase program for families that are getting into our Northeast High School houses. Doug has run that for so many years. He created Lincoln Housing Charities, which is a nonprofit, and run all those programs. There's a whole we could spend a whole hour just talking about the things Lincoln Housing Charities has done over the years and the grants Doug has brought in for services to families. The amazing partnerships, which I think is one of his lasting legacies that we have at the Housing Authority, the amazing partnerships Doug has formed, and a number of those people from those partners have come this afternoon. But aging partners, and the partnership we've had there, creating the Congregate Housing Program at our senior high-rises, which provides an incredible level of services to seniors for the last 25 years, and really is impactful to those persons' lives. You know, our long-term relationship that Doug has nurtured with Friendship Home, and he's continued to nurture it and expand it, and with Fresh Start, and with the health department initiating smoke-free housing, with the cooperative extension. Those partners and those programs allow us as an agency to impact an enormous number of people and truly be much, much more than housing. And Doug is the reason we have been able to do that. And the reason we have been able to have so much success over the last 25 years. And so I do need to make an announcement, and that success is being recognized, Doug, in other than just here at this little gathering. It is being recognized by the state NARO, the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment officials, at a conference next week. So you gotta go. Sorry, you're retired, but you still gotta go. They are going to give him their highest honor, what is called the Orville Stanton Award for Distinguished Service. Normally, we would just, trick him into going to the conference and it would be a surprise. But now that he's retired, it's hard to trick him into going to a work conference. So we're just going to tell everybody, and you'll know ahead of time. But it also comes with a really cool big statue with this giant eagle. It's the greatest thing ever. But in summary, I just want to say that I think all of us as human beings, which most of us are here, we all have a genuine desire to positively impact people's lives at some point in our life, either through work or through our family or through our church or through some other process. And Doug, I just want you to know, and I think you do know as you stand here on the precipice of your retirement, that you can certainly look back at your work life, both here at the Housing Authority and before at Lomar and in other ways, and know that you have greatly impacted many, many people's lives, and the world is a better place because you are here. So thank you. And we do have the required retirement card signed by Housing Authority employees with a minor gift of our appreciation. And I do, well, there's a lot of signatures. There's some gift cards. And I need to, this is the government, so there's strengths. So I understand you're looking to do some bicycling.
I'm thinking about that.
So that is intended to help you purchase a bicycle, not to be sopped away on wine. So,
I would like to say some things, and I hope I don't cry. Sarah already left a card on my desk and got me all emotional already. I got to tell you about when I started here, and Dave Morrell was the executive director, and he hired me. And on my first day, he took me back to my office, and he introduced me to Pat and Melody and Harold Smith and Joanne Fossler, and said, "These are your staff." And I said, "What do they do?" Well, they were the leasing agents. And I said, "So I'm supervising leasing agents?" That never came up in the interview. So my first year, I was pretty much involved in leasing and did a little bit of tenant services, and then Larry came along a year later and he said, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm kind of the housing manager, but I thought I was hired to be the tenant services manager." And he said, "Well, you can't do both jobs. Which one do you want to do?" And I said, well, I've been leasing manager. I think I'll try being tenant services manager. And for that, then Chris got hired as the housing manager. He owes me his job. When he came through, I prophesized. I said, Chris, someday, he was still on the interview, right? And I said, someday this could all be yours. And now it is.
It was a direct quote. Doug's sitting behind his desk. This could all be yours. It was the same big, ugly wooden desk he still had. All my thought was, I don't want the big, ugly wooden desk.
So it has been just a great experience. So many stories. I was thinking of the first week on the job, and I don't know if you remember this, Pat. I get this call about a neighbor complaining because one of our tenants has a car in the backyard upside down with the lawnmower inside. I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? And then a few weeks later, a tenant out in Arnold Heights called on the other half of the duplex and said, I can't stand these snakes and the smell from my neighbor. Snakes? Yeah, they've got snakes all over the place. Harold Smith, thank God, Harold Smith can handle these things. We went out there, and this person's got an entire basement full of snakes that they're raising commercially, along with the mice and rats to go with it, to feed them. Thank God, Harold Smith, he said, I'll give you till Monday to get this stuff out of here, and they did. So anyway, just the most bizarre thing starting out as a tenant services manager. But yes, I'm very proud of my staff who have implemented all these different things that Chris talked about. I didn't write all the grants, but Amy's written grants, Susan's written grants, Dana's written grants. I totaled it up the other day, and in excess of 50 grants that we've had through Lincoln Housing Charities. I thank God Larry let me do that. You know, Larry was a great boss who, you know, if you had an idea, he would let you give it a try. And I think that's one of his strengths as a leader of the organization over the years. So I thank Larry for that, and I thank Chris for his support too. We've had a great run, I think. So, boy, I think I had a lot of other things I was hoping to say, but I can't think of what they are right now. I do want to introduce my family. I do with my wife, my son David, and his wife Ashley from Omaha. Sarah, you know, works here. Her boyfriend Sean, and Ryan is back there. He's the youngest. He's the little one. So again, thank you very much. Do that without crying.
Can I ask a question? Do you
Yes.
have to pay for the trip to get the award, or are they sending you?
I don't know. Did I lean over and ask you that? I was going to say, people have asked me 1,000 times, I wish I had $1 every time, what am I going to do? So we do have a travel plan to go to Portugal in October and Costa Rica in February, right?
Right.
And then Savannah, Georgia, we're going to in May for a wedding. And then Ike is real involved in the Y. She's led their Strong Kids campaign at the Northeast Y for a couple of years. And she insists I'm going to be going there to work out. So my free week starts next week, and then if I can endure that, I'll be joining, I guess. We have the Reading Matters program that has really done great. Susan announced yesterday 9,574 books we've given away so far, and we have thousands yet to give away and events to do that. So I hope to help at some of those events. We're working to raising funds for a new van. The last van we bought was 10 years ago, and so it's time to look for another one. So we've kicked off some. If we get some big grants, we've turned in 2 big grant applications. If we get those, we'll be fine. If not, I might help Susan with that. Otherwise, I might be a van driver. So I'd like to stay involved in some of the housing authority activities, as time goes on. So that's kind of it. Anybody else have questions or want to say? So thank you.